picture this. I'm making my way through the halls of school. I get into the classroom. The professor pulls up. He tells everyone, hey, guess what we're doing today? We all lean in, anxious to hear what his next words are. And that's when he says,
Join me and we'll draw a schematic. Some might call me the schematic addict.
so this right here, this is my Zod. The Zod is a type of airframe, which means that it is just basically a case. All of the innards and guts are completely unrelated to the Zod. And basically, this right here is a fixed-wing aircraft that I'm working on right now. I've got the rest of the parts behind me here, but this is just the body, and I've got a bunch of different components on here. You can start to see there's a lot of stuff going on in there, and it's getting confusing pretty fast. So, what is one way that I can have a document that will tell me everything I need to know about this aircraft and all of the electronics that go into it? Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you a schematic. What we're gonna be doing today is taking a blank piece of paper. Why is my camera tweaking like that, bro? It's because when I put this piece of paper in there, it's so bright, it can't handle it. I've got this piece of paper right here. And what we're gonna do with that piece of paper is we're going to draw a schematic, which basically just tells me every single part of this aircraft right here. It'll make sense in 1 second, and I'm gonna walk you through the process of how to draw a schematic, what makes a schematic good, and specifically what different components are in this aircraft right here. So, let's get on with it. What we're gonna do first, in order to draw a good schematic, is we have our pencil here, and we've got a ruler, and those are the big two things that you need in order to draw a good schematic. So in the center of the page, I'm gonna go ahead and start by drawing the thing that runs this whole drone, which is our autopilot. In the case of this thing right here, our autopilot is going to be a cube orange plus. Basically what this does is it's just the brain of the entire drone. All right, these are a bunch of plugs on the side that allow you to hook up different wires to your servos and your motors and stuff like that. And then we got our power 1 and power 2 cables. The reason there's two of them is because if one of them were to fail for whatever reason, the brain of our drone would still have power. Okay, now we got the other side of our autopilot, and this is where there are a ton of different cords and stuff like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and just throw all of them in there that are supposed to be in that area. All right, perfect. So we have our cube orange autopilot all drawn out. We have all the ports all labeled and everything that is on here. So now what we gotta do is we gotta start drawing our other components around and then connecting them based on which port they're plugged into our autopilot. So then we have our battery pack right here. And basically what this is going to be doing is the obvious thing. It's our battery. It's what's powering our autopilot and all the other servos that are attached to it. And this is a Li-ion 6-cell battery here. And so we're gonna go ahead and plug this battery into our autopilot. But if we go ahead and look, we don't have a battery in here. Oh my gosh, where's the battery? All right, I found it. It was all good. This battery right here plugs into this bit right here, which is a power brick mini, all right? And then that goes in a couple different directions. So I'm gonna go ahead and draw this power brick mini here. And just so you understand what this power brick is doing, it's basically taking the raw voltage from our battery and gently giving it to our autopilot so that our autopilot doesn't become overwhelmed with electricity and absolutely fry. So our power brick is connected to two things right now. Number one, it's connected to our actual autopilot so that our autopilot is getting battery, and that's connected to our power 1 station right here. So we need to connect this port to this port right here. And then number 2, it is connected to our ESC, which stands for electronic speed controller, and that basically tells the motor how fast it needs to spin while also giving it direct power. Okay, there we go. We got our power brick mini connected up to our power 1, and as a general rule of thumb, when you're drawing schematics, you want to go ahead and make your lines straight with 90-degree angles so that it's very easy to follow where the different wires go. And I've also written down the point of each of these wires, which we don't have to get into in this video. So let's go ahead and draw a motor right here so that we know what to hook this all up. Right now, our motor doesn't know how much it's supposed to be spinning. It has no contact with the cube. Our ESC also needs to be having communication with our cube so that it also knows how much it needs to spin. So this is actually going to go into our main out port number 5. So this one right here. I'm going to go ahead and erase this antenna because we kind of drew it in an inconvenient spot. For the sake of making this schematic easier, I'm going to go ahead and draw a diagonal line. And the only reason that I'm getting away with drawing a diagonal line is because it's easiest to cut through here with the diagonal line, but it still needs to be clear and followable as a line. Perfect. So now our ESC is connected to our autopilot. Another thing we have in our drone is this here 3+ module. This is actually a GPS module. It allows us to know where in space this drone is. And there's another one built into our cube, but this one's sole purpose is to be a GPS. So it's a little bit more accurate. Now our GPS is hooked up to this black wire, which goes under and around and is hooked up right here to our CAN 1 port. And now we have our here 3 connected up right there. The next big one's gonna be our telemetry port right here. This is Telem 2, and that's gonna be this little computer chip right here. Right now it's covered in some tape so I can glue it to the wall. Those are connected to these 2 antennas off of the side. Those 2 antennas allow my controller to talk to my drone. All right, so we got our telemetry port hooked up to our antennas. And while we're on the topic of telemetry ports, let's go ahead and hook up our Telem 1. And this is actually not something I have added to my drone yet, although I will in the near future. This is another radio that allows me to talk directly to my computer. And I actually probably should install this onto my drone very soon. Okay, so our schematic is looking pretty busy right now. There's another thing we need to add to our ports up here, and that is our USB port. And our USB port is actually connected to 2 different things, so we'll go ahead and split this cord into 2. The first thing it's connected to is a little buzzer. And this buzzer is super annoying, and I'm trying to figure out how to turn it off, but I can't. I don't even have it secured in my drone right now, but there it is right there. It's just a little buzzer, and it is connected, as you can see. You can't see. Well, you're just gonna have to trust me that it's connected up to that USB wire right there. And the other thing that USB is hooked up to is a USB plug. The cube also does have a port on the side that I can plug a cord into, but it's a lot easier to route it out to the outside of the drone to mess with it. Let me show you. So right there on the side of the cube, it has a little port, but that's impossible to get a cord down to if I needed to plug my computer in. I have this USB cable routed out to the side of my drone, and I can plug in my computer right here and talk directly to my cube without even having to take the lid off or anything. There's one other thing that's on here. Connected to our GPS 1 port is a hardware safety switch, and I have my safety switch routed right out here to the side, although I'm probably planning on moving it soon because I can't actually fit the battery in here anymore with that cord right there. But what it does is it basically is an extra safety measure that doesn't allow me to turn the drone on unless I turn this switch off. Super simple, but could save you from some troubles in the future. Now let's go ahead and focus on our main out. There's only 4 things that we need to add, and that is our servos. A servo is a type of motor, but it is a very precise motor. So I have 5 motors on this drone. I have 1 motor that controls the blade in the back, and then I have 4 servos which control the different control surfaces. So for example, there's one right there. It's in charge of moving the left V-tail back and forth. And then I have another one for the right V-tail. And the other 2 servos are located on the left and right wings with the same responsibility of controlling the ailerons. So we got our ailerons hooked up to our main out 1 and 2, and then we just got to do our V-tail, and that's everything. All of those are routed in. There are obviously ports on here that I'm not using, and so we don't have to draw anything out of them. But this is the basic idea of how this is all wired up. And pretty soon we're gonna get this thing up in the air, and it's all because we're able to understand our schematic here and build this thing effectively based on that. And if you want to, you can have a little bit of fun and pretty your drawings up. I'm gonna go ahead and just draw this thing orange here. It is a cube orange after all. Very, very beautiful little schematic there. Bam, there we go. We got an awesome schematic written up for us to actually understand how this thing works here and how it's all wired up. So we'll keep working on this thing, and we're gonna have it airborne soon enough. So stay tuned for that. And that's pretty much all I got for you today. So thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time.